So, hey everybody, welcome back to episode 26, segment 4, the entrepreneurism segment for Relentless Talk Radio. I have Jason Von Payne on the line. I'm super excited about talking with him. Jason's my roofer, god dang it. And I'm wanting to publicly say thank you to you. I'll do that in a minute, but tell everybody who you are and the company that you're currently working with and the company that you will be working with. There's two parts of this interview.
Yeah, so the company I currently work for is called Griffin Roofing. They've been around for about 20 years, residential and commercial. Great company, good reputation, been around for a long time, do great work. I currently sell for them, but I've always wanted to own my own business, and I've been in the roofing industry since 2009. So just hit my 10-year work anniversary, and in the field.
Love it.
So yeah, I've always had a dream to start my own. And the company I was at before, I just been wanting to do my own thing, and finally just took that leap of faith. And I'm about 30 to 60 days out from going live and doing my own thing. So that's where State 48 comes into play.
Well, we'll talk a little bit more about State 48 in a minute, but we'll talk generally about, why you're a roofer. I mean, so generally, why the roofing business? I mean,
so
or State 48.
You know what? It kind of just fell in my lap. I'm LDS. I served a mission for my church down in Mexico City, so I'm bilingual. And I was just got back from my mission in 2008, and was doing some landscaping irrigation tech work. And my cousin called me and said, "Hey, I'm starting my own roofing company, but I'm moving to Chicago. Do you want to come and be our production manager because you speak Spanish?" I'm like, "Sure." I know nothing about roofing. They're like, "Not a problem. We'll train you, but you have to know how to speak Spanish." I said, "Okay." And sure enough, that was January of 2009. And 10 years later, I fell in love with it. Love the trade, love helping people, fixing their problems, giving them solutions. It's a really great industry because it's not economy based. I don't do any new construction, so I don't have to worry about if the economy tanks, you still got to fix your roof. You can do repairs, you can do maintenance, you can do your whole roof. You can, if you want to do an addition or a detached garage or something like that. I know how to do it all. And commercial, multifamily apartment complexes. A lot of people have rental properties. One of our good friends, Jordan Adler, I just looked at his personal home up in Jerome. So I'll go through the entire state of Arizona.
So I love, how people come to do what they do. Like, people will say, "Michelle, how did you become a lifestyle entrepreneur?" I'm like, well, I don't know. I kind of had no choice. You know what I mean? Like, I came here in 2009, and all the jobs that should have been going to me were going to the CEOs that had been laid off, and I had to kind of figure it out. And over time, I kept on taking care of myself by making sure that I put the things that made me healthy in place in my schedule first, like I have my whole life. And eventually, I realized I was building a business around the life that I always wanted, and it kind of chose me. I love that you were doing something to be of service, and basically it's like God gave you this is what you should be doing, and being of service, and here's what you're going to do for your career and how you're going to support your family. I love that story. So what's the biggest lesson that you've learned about being in the roofing business?
Biggest lesson I've learned is that just stick to your word and do things the right way. As simple as that sounds, right? I mean, you can apply that to any practice, any industry. But I always tell when I had a sales team at the other company I worked for, I was a sales manager and had about 4 or 5 sales reps underneath me. And I had 2 things. I said, show up and don't be a dick. Those are my 2. Dead serious. Those are my like. You want to be successful.
Work and don't be an asshole. I know. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. As simple as that was, I'm like, show up on time, and don't be a dick. And other than that, like, it's really not that.
In the trades, that actually is phenomenal. Like, if you show up to fix the roof, like, you just beat 90% of the market out there. If you show up and you're kind and you're professional when you get there, you just beat everybody.
Done.
Give her 2 other 3 guys that may be showing up and doing the right thing. So just show up and people really appreciate that, and they will do business with you again. Correct?
Right. Yeah. Or the don't be an a-hole or don't be a dick part. They'll come at you where, like, well, he came out, he showed up, he was on time, but he was cocky, he was arrogant, he didn't, he wanted to sell me a full roof when I only needed a repair. And
Right.
that's where you kind of got, like I said, you got to do the right things and give the right solution for your client and give them what they need and not what you want as a salesperson. So
Well,
yeah.
frankly, Jason, that's why I have so much respect for you, because when I was selling my house, I knew that I had some issues with the roof, and I wanted to find out like what they were so I could be prepared for it when I went through my sale. And you came and you looked at my roof, and you actually gave me like a very honest, this is what needs to be done. This is how we'll work with you on it. And I ended up working out with the person that bought my house, that they decided to take care of the roof on their own. But I walked into that sale knowing what my responsibility was and knowing what I was up against, and that gave me confidence in the sale to know that I was doing the right thing, right? So I want to thank you very much for that, because it was one of the biggest things I was worried about, because I had purchased the home when I was in a marriage, and I had my ex-husband could fix those things, and I didn't understand what roofing was, and now I have a home that I need to sell, and I don't know anything about that thing. So I trusted you. And for a single woman on her own to have a young man in her home telling her the truth in a way that we're a member of BNI Paragon, so I knew I could trust you because you'd been vetted into our group. But I also knew I could trust you by the way you carried yourself, your demeanor, how you spoke to me. The report that you gave me was like stellar. It showed every little piece of what needed to be done and how it needed to be done and what it was going to cost me or the buyer. And I just want to say thank you very much, because it was a giant weight off my shoulders knowing what I was dealing with. So thank you for being a man of dignity and grace and courage. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're absolutely welcome. And that's really all I want to do is I try and educate my customers to help them make the best decision possible for their family. And I give you as many options as I can. Sometimes there's only one option and it's not the fun one.
Yeah.
But my goal is to give you because not everybody's ready to put on a new roof, and you might not need a new roof, right? You might need just some maintenance, or you might need a repair here or there. And that's what I do is I help educate you on. I basically tell myself I'm an educator and I'm Mother Goose. So I'm Mother Goose. I tell the story of the roof, the current story of the roof, what the roof is telling me. I communicate that to you, and then I tell you what the roof needs, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, or otherwise. And then give you options depending on your situation, right? Like you were selling your house. Well, we need to put on this beautiful, gorgeous new roof right now because you're selling and getting out of Dodge, right?
Right.
So we don't need to approach it that way. Hey, let's do the minimum requirements we need to
Right.
for based on your situation, and that's how we do it. And that's how I'm 99% self lead generated. So strictly social media and word of mouth.
Sexy roof status, right? Hashtag
Free, yeah.
Sexy roof.
Taking over the world.
I love an LDS guy that has a hashtag sexy roof status. I mean, that really just
right. This one right here.
So good for you.
Right there.
Sexy roof status. Awesome. That is.
I'll get you a hat with it. So
I would love one of those. I'd wear that all day long. So maintenance and kind of tell me a little bit about maintenance, because how often should you have your roof looked at? I mean, what really, if you're taking care of your house, I mean, don't ignore it until you've got a giant gaping hole in your roof. What do you do to maintain a roof?
So when it comes to roof maintenance, people, it's a lot of the out of sight, out of mind perspective, right? Everybody's like, it's a roof or it's a tile roof. It'll last, 50 years, and they totally just put it off. They don't think about it. They just, move on to the next thing. But I actually would personally, I would check my roof the same time once a year, just like you do your AC unit, right? Everybody does your yearly tune-ups on their AC units.
Right.
You get an oil change every 3,000 or 5,000 miles religiously, right? You need to do that with your roof, because your roof is your biggest asset that protects all of your assets.
Duh, right? I mean, so really, that's amazing. I actually did have my roof checked several times because I knew that there was repairs needed to be done, and I kind of had a handle on it. So that's a good note to sell for the next home that I purchase, and I think for most people. So I mean, monsoons also are a big deal here in Arizona. For those of you watching back east, I mean, it doesn't rain often in Arizona, but when it does, it doesn't mess around, right? I mean, it's serious. One of my friends just had a giant. I was actually talking to him on the phone last year about this time, actually, and a giant chunk of his roof just kind of blew off. Yeah. So monsoon is like
Yep.
a deal. So what can you tell us a little bit about the whole monsoon season?
So monsoon season, it's here, but it hasn't hit yet. We haven't had a legit storm yet. The best thing to do is to call me, and be proactive,
Right.
because if you end up being reactive, you're going to be like everybody else. Supply and demand skyrockets. We can't get out there for several weeks. Can't get the work done for several months just
Right.
because of supply and demand. I mean, we'll have. I get anywhere from 30 to 50 phone calls a day, once we have a good storm. So it's literally just take a ticket. It's like being at a, DES, right? Like take a ticket, or the DMV, like take a ticket and go sit in line, and it's miserable, and your roof's leaking, your family's upside down. It's not fun. So trying to be
Right.
proactive on that.
And water
And sometimes,
damage is like a real deal, right? I mean, like
yeah,
it's a real deal. I've had water damage in a house before from a washing machine doing
yep,
the wrong thing and blowing up.
yeah, because then you get insurance involved, and you get a claim, then it goes against you, and
And
it increases your rates. It's a big nightmare. So the more proactive you can be on your roof before monsoon season, the more likely you are to save that money and put that money back in your pocket until next year.
so right now you're still at Griffin until August 1st, but as of August 1st, people can reach out to you. And I'm sure the two of you are going to be continuing, because you're a man of dignity and character, you're going to continue to be working proactively with Griffin on some level or another. I'm sure of that. So how do people get up? Well, one last question. How long does a roof last? Like,
It's a great
you buy
question.
a house and it's 20 years old. I mean,
So
what can you
the average life expectancy. So like I said, I've been doing this for 10 years. The average life expectancy in Arizona on a roof, whether it's shingle or tile, is about 20 to 25 years. Depends on the quality of the install, the quality of the product when it was initially installed, and how well it's been maintained. Right? If you, like a car, you haven't changed the oil in 50,000 miles, it's probably not going to last as long as one that's been maintained every 5,000 miles. Right?
right?
So those are a bunch of factors, but on average, the average roof that I do, per week is about 20 to 25 years. So people that are going to go buy a home that's 20 years old, or if it's around the 18 to 22 year old range, they need to get an envelope and start budgeting for it, because it's not cheap. Your average roof is about ten to $15,000 on average.
So that's
So
something
it's a
people
big chunk
want
of
to take
change.
into account if you're buying an older home, which in Arizona, there's not a lot of, there's more newer builds than there is older builds. You're the
Sure.
48th state, right? But it's state 48 is the reason
Yep.
why.
Yep.
So we do have a lot of new builds, but there are, like my house in Cave Creek was, 20 something years old. So it was kind of, that makes sense. It was due for a roof, right?
Yep. Yep.
So how do people contact you? How do they get a hold of you?
So even though I'm selling for Griffin and eventually State 48, you can still find me on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Jason, you can go to Facebook, Jason Von Payne. I actually have a Facebook page up for State 48 Roofing already. You can hop on there. On Instagram, you can do hashtag Jason the Roofer, hashtag State 48 Roofing, hashtag Sexy Roof Status, and you will see hundreds of posts before, during, after pictures, tutorials. What to do for your roofs, when to maintain them, how to maintain them. And I actually have a contact form on my website, state48roofing.com. There's a contact form, and you can fill it out, and I'll get an email notification, call you, come out to your home, and help educate you on your roof and what needs to be done.
And you're a big social media guru, so I love that about you. You believe in social media, and that's a good thing.
Totally. Love it.
It's the best way we can communicate with each other right now is we all have our phones on us all the time. So,
Right.
Jason, thank you again for being the gentleman that you are. Thank you for all the service that you provide for BNI Paragon, our mutual BNI chapter. I sincerely appreciate that. And thank you for your
Absolutely.
time today. I really appreciate you just stopping in your car somewhere in a parking lot and just jumping on Relentless Talk Radio. So thank you very much. I'll see you in the dang morning.
Sounds good, Michelle. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Have a good rest of your day. Bye.
See ya.